Voyagers Volume 2. We're on Chapter 7, The Countdown to Amente. Several events have occurred during the last 98 years of your evolution that could have drastically altered the course of your history. One such event took place in the early 1900s, which was repeated again in 1982. During both of these periods, large asteroid masses came into alignment with Earth's orbit, and if they had not been destroyed or diverted in deep space by interdimensional Gardian fleets before they entered your solar system, conditions supportive of life on Earth would have been destroyed. Because you were so close to the coming 2017 AD morphogenetic wave and the potentials of ascension it holds, numerous Gardian races petitioned the Azurite Council, the Azurite Council, Elohim, and Ra Confederacy on your behalf to allow non-direct intervention in Earth's affairs. Permission was granted. On the first occasion in 1906, the asteroid was destroyed, and only portions of its debris bombarded Earth's surface. On the second occasion in 1982, the asteroid was broken into two pieces, and its path was diverted using electromagnetic chelonic technologies. The asteroids are the least of the problems you have encountered within your current century. Recent history: the original Zeta Agenda and the Zeta Seal. 1926 AD through 6643 AD. In 1926, time-traveling members of the Zeta Zephelium races, originally from the planet Apexion Lao, began interacting with private factions within several Earth governments. The Zeta Agenda is discussed in earlier chapters. In recent years, the Zetas conducted several projects that had a highly detrimental effect on the vibration rate of Earth's grid and which damaged Earth's bioenergetic fields. If the Syrian Council had not intervened, Earth's populations would have been decimated between 1972 and 1974, and Earth would have experienced a pole shift during the mid-1980s. The Zetas and the Dracos, in parentheses says Dracon human hybrid, and the Rutilia, which is Zeta Dracos hybrid, accomplices, desire to take over Earth's territory. The Dracos, being created as a hybrid race of draconian and human genetic structure about 1 million years ago on Earth, feel dominion of Earth. Feel dominion of Earth is their birthright, as Earth is their planet of origin. The Dracos are Earthlings who were banned from their home planet, Earth, and exiled to the Orion star system 1 million years ago. The Zeta Zephelium races were involved with Atlantean and Atlanian Earth cultures and for a time colonized Mars. Both groups share a common interest in possessing Earth to facilitate the continuation of their race's evolution. The Zetas' original plan was born out of their need to retain control of a future human society. In the future of Earth between 4230 AD and 6443 AD, the Zeta Dracos Alliance has successfully overtaken the human world culture in that time period. This time period takes place within the first ascension cycle time continuum of Terra's 26,556-year harmonic time cycle, the natural path of evolution into which Earth would next evolve to become Terra, following completion of its present cycle in 4230 AD. The six root race Muvarians and descendants of the present human races live there now in the Zeta-ruled society, controlled by frequency fence and holographic insert technology. These events are taking place now in that future time-space coordinate. In order for the Zetas to retain control over that society, they have traveled backwards through time to Earth's present. Humanity's upcoming opportunity for accelerated evolution between 2012 through 2017 AD poses a direct threat to the Zeta's ability to retain control over that society. If 8% of the present-day humans are able to successfully take this evolutionary leap, the humans of 4230 AD through 6443 AD will be set free from the Zeta collective mind frequency fence through which they are presently controlled in their space-time coordinate. The Zetas do not want this to occur. It sounds like the movie Terminator, Skynet sending their robots back in time to keep humanity enslaved. I mean, I want to know where. The military has to have this technology that it talks about in here. This time travel technology, the portal technology. They have to be using this stuff. The Zeta's original Earth agenda involved first creating Zeta-human hybrid strains that could comfortably thrive on Earth. In the second phase of their plan, they intended to make sure that that the grids of Earth and Terra did not merge during the 2012-2017 half cycle point. By stopping this event, Earth would remain trapped in Harmonic Universe 1 for another 26,556-year cycle, and the human populations could not accelerate their evolution and activate their fifth DNA strand. If the Zetas could keep Earth in Harmonic Universe 1 time band and gain control of the planet here, they would ensure the continuation of their future stronghold on Dimension 4 Terra Earth. If Earth successfully merged with Terra between 2012 through 2017, and the morphogenetic wave allowed fifth dimensional frequency to move through Earth's grid, the frequency fence through which the Dimension 4 Zeta controlled their human populations would be released. If ascension of Earth's humans could be stopped by 2012, the Zetas could retain control over their Dimension 4 holding. If humans began ascension to the Dimension 4 time cycles of Terra, their assembled fifth DNA strand imprint would correct the Dimension 4 DNA mutation the Zetas used to keep their humans under the frequency fence. Humans in the Dimension 4 time cycle would set free if 8% of the Dimension 3 humans of Earth activated their fifth DNA strand. These present-day humans would correct, within the race morphogenetic field of the sphere of Amente, the Zeta-created Dimension 4 fourth DNA strand distortion that keeps the future humans controlled. By ascending through Amenti, humans with activated fifth DNA strands would realign the morphogenetic field of the future races, reversing the genetic mutation the Zetas used to control the future humans. In this future period, Muvarians and descendants of present human races are kept from ascension and evolution to higher consciousness and immortality by the seal of the Zetas placed within their fourth DNA strand. I wonder if that is referring to or has something to do with the telomere caps. Right here it's saying that this was keeping them from immortality. This was a seal placed within the DNA. I wonder if that's what the telomere caps. The Zeta Seal stopped the fifth DNA strand from plugging into their lower strands, so these future soul essences are trapped within Terra's first time cycle in the Dimension 4 astral planes. Okay, maybe it's something different than the telomere caps. Or maybe it probably still is all interconnected in some way, but as long as the future races carry this fourth strand DNA distortion, humans on Earth will also carry the distortion of the fourth DNA strand, and they will be unable to evolve past the Dimension 4 time cycle. The Zetas infiltrated the Dimension 4 future time continuum about 400 years ago in Earth time and successfully implemented the Zeta Seal frequency fence around there about 250 years ago. Okay, maybe that had to have been something different. Because the telomere stuff, that's been around for thousands of years, not 250 years. Or the telomere caps. The Zeta Seal and frequency fence have thus manifested within the present-day human genetic pool and within Earth's morphogenetic field for the past 250 years since about 1748 AD. All human souls incarnating on Earth since 1748 AD have the Zeta Seal distortion within their fourth DNA strand. As your lifespan is presently about 75 through 100 years long, this implies that all people on your planet at this time carry the Zeta Seal genetic mutation. The second base tone and second and third overtones of the fourth DNA strand were unable to manifest in the operational DNA because these frequency patterns were taken out of the morphogenetic field on Terra Earth in that future time period in order to create the frequency fence. This blockage within the future Earth's morphogenetic field is also caused, the Earth's morphogenetic field also caused blockage of these frequencies in your Earth's morphogenetic field in 1748, a distortion which then manifested within the human gene code as souls from Amente passed through the Earth's morphogenetic field to birth on Earth. This morphogenetic distortion of Earth created by the Zeta manipulation in the future has created a hidden Zeta frequency fence on Earth since 1748. The fourth DNA strand mutation has created an unnatural blockage between the higher self aspect of identity, and in parentheses it says the portion of personal identity focused in the UHF bands of Dimension 3, and the Dimension 4 astral awareness. This blockage manifests as greater fragmentation within the dream state, difficulty in orchestrating and remembering astral out-of-body travel, an unnatural blockage within the fourth chakra, repression of the natural intuitive senses, and an inability to fully assemble the fourth DNA strand. The Zeta frequency fence on Earth made it easy for the Zetas to directly influence human behavior as it connected the human DNA directly into the Zeta collective mind complex that controlled the populations in the future. Since 1748, human behavior has been directly influenced on subconscious and subliminal levels by the brainwashing program that is broadcast by the Zeta collective mind complex from this future time period. This influence has played a major role in the development of human culture since that time. If these circumstances had been left to evolve unabated, the entire human race would now be under the mental control of the Zeta collective mind, and Earth's vibration would have dropped too low to hold the sphere of Amente for the 2017 half point. The Zetas would not have had to do anything to stop the grids of Terra and Earth from merging, as this would have been a natural consequence of the effects of their frequency fence in the future. In 1902, Gardian groups intervened and began poking holes in Earth's Zeta frequency fence by orchestrating astral body realignments from Dimension 4 on various portions of the human population. The astral body realignments repaired the fourth DNA strand and added the fifth strand imprint to these groups of humans, progressively bringing the corrected fourth strand imprint back into the Earth's morphogenetic field. When at least 8% of the Earth's population carried the corrected imprint, the Earth's morphogenetic field would realign, and the morphogenetic field of Terra Earth in the future would follow suit and begin realigning. Through this astral involvement with humans, the Guardians were able to begin dismantling the frequency fence in Earth and on Terra Earth. In 1986, Earth's population carrying the realigned fourth DNA imprint peaked at 8%, and the Zeta's frequency fence on Earth deteriorated. The Terra Earth frequency fence of the future also began to unravel, and the Zetas began losing control over their future human populations. The Zetas began interacting directly with Earth's present cultures in 1926 in order to survey the effects of the Gardian intervention on the frequency fence and to monitor the progression of the four-strand mutation within the human DNA. They were aware of the upcoming half-point ascension cycle and that their frequency fence would be collapsing at some point before 2012. The Zetas knew that they would have to reconstruct the frequency fence and take action to prevent Earth's grid from receiving its scheduled infusion of Dimension 5 through Dimension 9 frequency. They decided they would create Zeta-human hybrids which possessed mutated four-strand genetic codes to repopulate the Earth following 2017. After these hybrids were created and the frequency fence on Earth was reconstructed, they planned to eradicate all races carrying the realigned fourth and fifth DNA strand imprint by using holographic insert technology to vaporize the unwanted specimens by passing them through UHF portals. In order to maintain control of their stronghold in the future, the Zetas returned to the past, Earth's recent past and present, to create structures that would hold their control over future populations in place. They began physical infiltration of Earth between World Wars I and II. Working with the Allied governments in World War II, they formed covert agreements that would allow them to conduct experimentation on the human populations in order to begin creation of hybrids to replenish their declining race, and through which they could take over the Earth after 2017. The covert human Majestic 12, MJ-12 group was formed within the Allied human governments at this time to secretly oversee treaties they formalized with the Zetas. The Zetas then began the next phase of their plan, a scheme of which Majestic 12 knew nothing. During the late 1930s and 1940s, the Zetas had began their hybridization program. They turned their attention towards reconstruction of the frequency fence and stopping the grid merge of Earth and Terra scheduled for 2012 to 2017. The Zetas possess the knowledge and technology that would allow them to misalign the electromagnetic fields of Earth and Terra so the planetary grids could not begin to merge in 2012. They understand the electromagnetic relationships between Earth's planetary energetic fields and those of the Sun. With this understanding, they devised a plan to shift the electromagnetic fields of Earth and Terra by altering the electromagnetic fields of Earth's Sun. Before exploring the Zeta's manipulation of the Sun, let us review a brief lesson on the mechanics of multidimensional electromagnetic fields. Merkaba fields. Merkaba field mechanics. All planetary spheres possess sets of counter-rotating electromagnetic fields within and surrounding the planetary body. In the first dimensional frequency bands, Earth has a magnetic spiral of energy composed of the 12 base tone frequency patterns of Dimension 1. This counterclockwise rotating magnetic spiral pulls energy transmitted by the Sun into the Dimension 1 portion of Earth's morphogenetic field, Earth's Dimension 1 iron core crystal. Earth also has a clockwise rotating electrical Dimension 1 energy spiral composed of the 12 overtone frequency patterns of Dimension 1. The electrical spiral transmits energy from the Dimension 1 portion of Earth's morphogenetic field downward, where the energy is then picked up by the Dimension 1 magnetic spiral of the Sun. A planetary sphere has such a set of counter-rotating electromagnetic spirals within each dimensional frequency band. The two spirals form two pyramidal-shaped energy constructs, and the magnetic spiral is inverted with the upright electrical spiral. The collective construction of the two energy fields is that of a star tetrahedron, and this structure is referred to as a Merkaba field. Every planet, object, and person has such a Merkaba field within each of the 15-dimensional bands. It is the energy construct through which energetic substance emerges from and returns to the morphogenetic field, the structure through which energy and consciousness enter and leave manifestation. Earth's Dimension 1 Merkaba field is located deep within the Earth's core. It exists as a minute crystal encased in elemental iron and serves to ground Earth's morphogenetic field into harmonic universe 1. Surrounding this iron core crystal of Dimension 1 is the Dimension 2 Merkaba field, which is located within Earth's core at the Dimension 2 frequency level and serves to hold the morphogenetic imprint and particle base of Earth in place. Earth's Dimension 3 Merkaba field extends about 444,000 miles out into space and serves to hold Earth's atmosphere in place. The hole in Earth's ozone layer represents a disruption within Earth's Dimension 3 Merkaba field. The Dimension 4 field of Earth exists as a minute crystal encased in elemental gold, which is presently located within a black hole at the center of Earth's sun at the Dimension 4 frequency level. It serves to ground Terra's morphogenetic field, portions of which are presently scattered within the planetary cores of your solar system into Harmonic Universe 2, and also connects the planets of your solar system in Harmonic Universe 1 to Terra's Dimension 5 core in Harmonic Universe 2. Terra's Earth Dimension 5 Merkaba field surrounds the Dimension 4 gold crystal at the Sun's core at the level of 5th dimensional frequency, and thus your Sun and solar system are encased within this 5th dimensional Merkaba field. The Dimension 5 Merkaba field serves to hold Earth Terra's morphogenetic field and particle base in place. Terra Earth's Dimension 6 Merkaba field extends thousands of miles out from Terra into outer space in Harmonic Universe 2 at the 6th dimensional frequency level. It serves to keep Terra's atmosphere in place and encompasses with its energy field Harmonic Universe 2 planet Terra, the planets of Terra's solar system, the planets orbiting around Alcyone in the Pleiades in Harmonic Universe 1, and all of the planets orbiting around Earth's Sun in Harmonic Universe 1. The multidimensional structures of planetary Merkaba fields are referred to as stellar spirals. They represent vast constructs of electromagnetic energy through which all planetary systems in the 15-dimensional galaxy are energetically connected. The Merkaba fields of the higher dimensions encompass the Merkaba fields of the lower dimensions and all matter forms contained within them. The frequency of the 15 smaller dimensional Merkaba fields combine to form larger Harmonic Universe Merkaba fields. Harmonic Universe Merkaba fields combine to form the largest Merkaba field, the metagalactic Merkaba field. The metagalactic Merkaba field is composed of a 15-dimensional inverted counterclockwise spiraling magnetic field and an upright 15-dimensional clockwise spiraling electrical field. The magnetic spiral extends from Dimension 1 upward through the metagalactic core at Dimension 8 and into the 15th dimension. This spiral of magnetic energy serves to draw electrical energy from the antiparticle universe through the dimension morphogenetic fields in Dimension 9 through Dimension 15 into Dimensions 1 through 7 of the particle universe, then back into the metagalactic core. The electrical spiral extends from Dimension 15 downward through the metagalactic core into Dimension 1. The electrical spiral serves to transmit electrical energy from the metagalactic core into the antiparticle universe through the morphogenetic fields, then into Dimensions 1 through 7 of the particle universe. These are the energy mechanics through which the universe is perpetually sustained. The Zetas are aware of these energy mechanics, which gives them tremendous technological advantage over present-day human technological capability. Yeah, that's exactly what I've been saying for so long. I've been saying that extraterrestrials with really highly advanced technology use their technology to take advantage of a more primitive race, and they use their technology to control and enslave them. I mean, this is exactly what this is saying here. The energy mechanics of the Merkaba fields holographically creates the perceptual, experiential illusions of matter, space, and time through the refraction of energy particles. The reality behind this illusion is an eternal unified field of energy within which everything resides and out of which all things are composed. The following example will give you some idea of how that holographic projection tricks human perceptions into the experience of space, time, and matter. Agartha. The civilizations of Agartha, the inner Earth, which exists in a frequency modulation zone between Earth and its parallel universe double, between Dimension 3, Dimension 4, time bands, actually exists at the core of Earth's sun within the 3.5 dimensional frequency level. You know, a lot of people say that Mount Shasta is one of the entry points, but it's, and that's why there's so much paranormal activity there, is because there's, this what's the word I'm looking for? This intertwining of the dimensional energies there, because that's where the entrances are located. And that's why it's such a high vibrational spiritual place at Mount Shasta, is because people are going there to connect with these beings of different vibrations. That's why they do all these yoga retreats and meditation retreats and stuff like that. Particles in the dimension 3.5 vibration spin at 22.5 degrees reverse angular rotation to the particles in dimension 3, which is Earth's atmosphere, and at a 22.5 angular rotation to the particles in dimension 4. Dimension 4 particles spin at 45 degrees reverse angular rotation to dimension 3 particles. The gold core crystal of Terra Earth's dimension 4 Merkaba field appears as a sun to those of the inner Earth. The D3.5 area is called the inner Earth because one must travel the Earth's external portals downward through the Earth into the Dimension 2 Earth morphogenetic field, then into Dimension 1 iron core crystal in the center of Earth, which in reality exists inside the sphere of the sun. In order to remerge within the D5, or not D5, sorry, the D, or Dimension 3.5 frequency level of the sun, where Agartha exists. Just as the gold core crystal of Terra Earth's Dimension 4 Merkaba field appears as a sun when viewed from Agartha at the 3.5 frequency level, the iron core crystal of Earth's Dimension 1 Merkaba field appears as Earth's sun when viewed from the Dimension 3 frequency level. What you perceive as the sun actually represents the iron core crystal, Dimension 1 Merkaba fields of the 11 planets plus the sun in your local solar system. Though the planets and sun appear to be externalized from Earth, in reality, the substance of the Earth and the local planets exist within the energetic substance of what you perceive as the sun. As your sun is actually the 8th star within the Pleiadian system, your sun and its contents are likewise contained within the energetic substance of Alcyone, the central sun of the Pleiades. Your Dimension 2 telluric, elemental, and Dimension 3 atmospheric Earth and those levels of the planets in your local solar system are in reality orbiting around the iron core crystals of their Dimension 1 Merkaba fields, which exist within the core of each planet and collectively manifest as your sun. There's a little note here. It says, your present perpetual field is that of the Dimension 3 frequency bands. You are able to perceive the Dimension 3 frequency bands as manifest reality because your consciousness is presently stationed in Dimension 4. When viewed from the vibrational level of the third dimension, which is where your consciousness and instruments are presently focused, the Dimension 1 Merkaba fields, which exist within the core of Earth and the local planets, and which are within the core of the Sun, appear to be located outside of the planets, many miles away in outer space. You are dealing with multi-layered reality fields that take place in the same space but appear to be separate due to the relationship between particle pulsation rhythm and angular rotation of particle spin. The perceivable experience of movement, passing, time, matter, space, distance between objects, and separation of forms is an illusion created by the multidimensional holographic refraction of particles and antiparticles which pulsate and spin at varying speeds and angular rotations in relation to each other. The movement of particles itself is a holographic illusion. Movement only appears to be such when consciousness views itself through the layered prisms of multidimensional order. It will be centuries before your scientists begin to comprehend these facts of reality construction. However, while your consciousness is focused within the multiple layers of dimensional reality, the concepts of space, time, matter, movement will indeed appear to apply. So we will continue our discussion following that paradigm of perception. You begin to stretch your perceptual and conceptual fields by simply pondering the following concepts and allowing your intuitive senses to bring to you a sensed cognition of these realities of which we speak. When you look at your sun from the third dimension, you are seeing the Dimension 1 Merkaba field of Earth and her sister planets from the Dimension 3 frequency level. When you view the Dimension 2 Merkaba field surrounding Earth's iron core crystal, which holds Earth's morphogenetic field, it appears to be the solid matter makeup of your Earth's body and elemental telluric kingdom. From the Dimension 3 view, the Dimension 3 Merkaba field is the Earth's atmosphere within which your present reality takes place. The distance of outer space that you perceive between Earth, the Sun, and the planets represents the magnetic repulsion zone that separates the Dimension 1, Dimension 2, and the Dimension 3 frequency bands of Harmonic Universe 1 from the counter-rotating Dimension 4, Dimension 5, and Dimension 6 frequency bands of Harmonic Universe 2. All dimensions exist in the same space, but seem to operate separately due to the particle pulsation rates of which they are composed. Particle pulsation rates are created by the degrees of angular rotation at which particles and antiparticles spin in relation to each other. In one universe, there are 15 primary dimensional bands. Dimensional frequency bands group in sets of 3. And each set of 3 dimensions represents a harmonic universe. Thus, there are 5 harmonic universes within one 15-dimensional universe. The degree of angular rotation of particle spin shifts 90 degrees from one dimension to the next within one harmonic universe. In each harmonic universe containing 3 dimensions, there are 2 90-degree shifts of the angular rotation of spin between the particles. Between one harmonic universe and the next, there is a 45-degree reverse angular rotation of particle spin. This 45-degree reverse angular rotation of particle spin creates a magnetic repulsion zone, or a void, between harmonic universes, which keeps the reality fields contained there within separated from each other. These magnetic repulsion zones are what you perceive as the seemingly endless vestiges of outer space. Through this structure of relative angular rotations of particle spin, the holographic illusions of multidimensional reality, matter, time, space, movement, and individuation of form are perpetually created and sustained. This will conclude our brief introductory lesson in multidimensional physics. We hope we have provided some interesting ideas for your more courageous scientists to explore. Well, yeah, I mean that was pretty interesting. I'm gonna have to read through that one maybe a couple times because that was a lot of information that was very complex. This describes, I mean, for me, like what this really resonates with is the descriptions in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. But the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, it's like very vague. It's very, very vague. But this is this is really, really in depth and and excuse me, and up to date with our mannerisms of language. It's like when I read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, it's like, okay, this thing was written in some really old ancient language, and they probably didn't have the exact words to articulate it to its fullest level of understanding in the way that we do now with the English language, with all this stuff, with magnetic repulsion zones and things. Like, obviously, like none of these words are used in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, but it definitely is referring to like the time cycles and the dimensions and the levels of consciousness and freeing yourself from the body, which is using the pineal gland, which is they mention this stuff in here, just in a much more complex, detailed manner. The Philadelphia Experiment and Solar Crisis, and this is year 1943. We will now resume our discussion of the Zeta's plan to stop the merger of Earth and Terra's grid, and what they did to the Sun in 1943 that almost caused the extinction of the human population on Earth in the 1970s. The Zetas determined that in order to retain control of the human society within the future space-time coordinates, where they had successfully achieved dominion over Terra Earth's territories in the Dimension 4 time cycle, they had to stop the fifth DNA strand from manifesting within the human populations of present-day Earth. Realignment of our fourth DNA strand by Gardian groups had broken down their Dimension 4 frequency fence, and they were losing control of their human subjects in the future. If the fifth DNA strand activated with 8% of the Earth's present human populations, the race morphogenetic field in the sphere of Amente would realign the frequency fence distortions in the grids of Earth and Terra, and the Zeta's frequency fence and Zeta collective mind complex of Dimension 4 would be destroyed. The upcoming morphogenetic wave, or the upcoming morphogenetic wave period of 2012 through 2017 in Earth's present time cycle would allow all Earth humans to begin assembly of their fifth DNA strand, and the and the Dimension 4 strand for the Zeta seal would be released in all humans. After 2017, the Zetas would totally lose control of the future human populations if they did not stop the fifth DNA strand from activating within Earth humans, and stop the present Earth grid from receiving its scheduled infusion of fifth to ninth dimensional frequencies. From the beginning of their involvement with the covert human governments, the Zetas held this secret agenda of Earth infiltration. When they offered the Allied governments technological information that helped them win World War II, the Zetas had ulterior motives. In 1943, the Zetas offered the U.S. Navy a rudimentary technology that would allow them to make objects appear invisible. On August 12th, 1943, the experiment was conducted in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, using a battleship, the USS Eldridge. The event became known as the Philadelphia Experiment. We will not detail the experiment here, but as there are several published accounts of this event, but would like you to understand that the Zeta's motivation for instigating this project. The Zetas knew that in creating such an experiment, which utilized the creation of an external manufactured Merkaba field, that the functions of Earth's natural Merkaba field would be disrupted. They failed to share this knowledge with the United States government. The experiment created a rip in space-time, or a tear in the natural Merkaba fields, which served as a dimensional warp through which the Zetas could secretly pass their ships to Earth from their Dimension 4 future location. Using this rip in space-time, the Zetas were able to transport large number of spacecraft undetected by human observation into Earth's Dimension 2 Merkaba field, and from there the ships could be used to broadcast specific electromagnetic pulses directly into Earth's Dimension 1 Merkaba field at the center of the Sun. Because the Earth is directly connected to the Sun through the stellar spirals of the multidimensional Merkaba fields, the Zetas knew they could misalign the grids of Earth and by Terra by manipulating the Merkaba fields of the Sun. They desired to create a frequency fence on Earth that would cause the grids of Earth and Terra to repel each other in 2012. Earth would be unable to receive the infusions of the Dimension 5 frequency, which would stop the fifth DNA strand imprint from manifesting in the races to keep Earth trapped within Harmonic Universe 1 for another 26,556-year cycle. They also knew that such a frequency fence applied during the half point in the second ascension cycle would cause a pole shift on Earth, creating cataclysmic changes on Earth, wiping out the majority of the populations. Once the environment had restabilized, the Zetas and Dracos planned to claim Earth's territories as their own. The covert human government had no idea of the Zetas' real plan when they entered treaties with them during World War II, and they still do not know the extent to which they have been manipulated by the Zetas. The interior government was not aware of the dire consequences that could have resulted from these actions. Violation of human rights through covert forced abductions of citizens for hybridization experiments was the least of the troubles created by the Zetas' involvement. In 1943, the Zetas used the opportunity presented by the Philadelphia experiment to begin their plan of shifting the Earth's grid out of alignment with Terra via manipulating the energy fields of the Sun. To the present day, the interior government does not realize that it was this event which triggered abnormal activity on the Sun between 1949 and 1972, activity which had some of Earth's scientific community very concerned about the probability of a major pole shift occurring sometime during the 1970s or 1980s. The Merkaba fields of Earth, the Sun, and Terra are intimately intertwined with each other, and the Pleiadian star system, and others. So following 1943, the Zetas' plan brought many different Gardian groups into Earth's drama. After the rip in space-time was made on August 12, 1943, the Zetas secretly positioned their spacecraft beneath Earth's surface in the Dimension 2 frequency bands and began beaming electromagnetic pulses into the Sun. Using these electromagnetic pulses, the following effects were created. The spin of the base tone particles' magnetic field of the Sun's Dimension 1 Merkaba field was reversed, which made the Sun's Dimension 1 magnetic spiral become more electrical. This change in the Sun created a reciprocal shift of polarity within the Dimension 1 Merkaba field of Earth. Earth's Dimension 1 base tone particles' magnetic spiral became electrical. This in turn caused Earth's Dimension 1 electrical overtone particle spiral to reverse and become magnetic. Through spacecraft positions within the Dimension 4 frequency bands, the Zetas next reversed the spin on the Sun's Dimension 4 Merkaba field, which set a pattern for Terra's grid through the gold core crystal at the center of the Sun. The Dimension 4 Merkaba field of particle and antiparticle Terra were reversed. These actions constituted a full reversal of Earth's Dimension 1 electromagnetic Merkaba fields and a partial reversal of Terra's Dimension 4 electromagnetic Merkaba fields, putting both out of alignment with the Merkaba fields of Dimension 2, 3, 5, and 6. Normally, when the grids of Terra and Earth begin to enter alignment with each other, about 5 years before the half-cycle point, the Dimension 1 and Dimension 4 Merkaba fields line up as follows. Earth's electrical overtone spiral in Dimension 1 aligns with Terra's base base tone magnetic spiral in Dimension 4. The Earth's magnetic base tone spiral in Dimension 1 aligns with Terra's electrical overtone spiral in Dimension 4. This alignment of Dimension 1 electrical to Dimension 4 magnetic and Dimension 1 magnetic to Dimension 4 electrical creates an interdimensional resonant tone through which the planetary grids can fuse. Following the reversal of Terra's Dimension 4 and Earth's Dimension 1 Merkaba fields, the new alignment between Earth and Terra's Merkaba fields became Dimension 1 electrical to Dimension 4 electrical and Dimension 1 magnetic to Dimension 4 magnetic. These particles, which compose the planetary grids, would magnetically repel each other, and the grids of Earth and Terra could not fuse. But this plan also caused a major imbalance within Dimension 2, 3, 5, and 6 Merkaba fields. If the Sirian Council and other Guardian groups had not intervened, the human populations of Earth would have been vaporized between 1972 and 1974. By 1950, Earth scientists began to notice odd phenomena occurring on the Sun as the Sun appeared to release periodic spirals of energy toward the Earth. This phenomenon was heavily observed between 1952 and 1968, and there was great concern that this solar anomaly would alter the wobble of the Earth upon its axis, creating a pole shift of the planet. Although most of this information was blacked out of the media and kept from the public, some of these studies were published in scientific journals and newspapers, especially after 1968, when the scientists calculated that events continued as they were. By 1972, there would be a huge explosion on the Sun that would cause pole reversal and wipe out humanity by about 1984. On August 7, 1972, the solar explosions began to occur. Earth scientists observed a rapid increase in solar flares for several days, which peaked on August 7th with the most intense flare ever recorded. Solar winds accelerated at an alarming rate in the most intense solar storm ever witnessed by Earth scientists. Published accounts of these observations can be found in scientific literature from this time period. The solar winds increased rapidly between August 7th and August 10th, 1972. Then, strangely, the winds began a rapid decrease in speed, and the solar storms appeared to die down in the month that followed. This was a perplexing observation to Earth's scientists. They had no idea that the Sirian Council had intervened. Solar crisis and 11-11-12-12. Wave of flame red pulse. Okay, let's see what this says. In January of 1972, members of the Sirian Council, Sirian Arcturian Coalition for Interplanetary Defense, the Pleiadian Star League, and several other Guardian groups entered the UHF bands of Earth's atmosphere, aware of the solar events that were to occur. If they had not intervened, Earth's population would have been wiped out by 1974. When the electromagnetic Merkaba fields of the Sun are artificially manipulated, such as they were by the Zetas following the Philadelphia experiment, erratic electrical energies built up within the Sun's energetic grid, throwing all of the Sun's Merkaba fields out of balance. As the misalignment of the Sun's electromagnetic fields progresses, it manifests as an acceleration of solar flare activity, which eventually culminates in surface explosions and temporary expansion of the Sun's Merkaba fields, lasting about 950 to 970 years. In 1972, the first explosions began to occur. The explosions would have continued until about September of 1973, when the Sun's Dimension 1 Merkaba field would have burst open and expanded. The expansion of the Sun's Dimension 1 Merkaba field would have sent an intense wave of ULF energy out through all of the planets and the local solar system, Let's look up ULF energy really quick, just to make sure. ULF, hang on, ULF energy. Ultra low frequency. Okay, so ultra low frequency or ultra low frequency waves. These are electromagnetic waves with frequencies ranging from 300 hertz to 3 kilohertz, corresponding to wavelengths between 1,000 and 1,100 kilometers. And it says that ULF waves are significant in various scientific and practical applications. Magnetospheric science and seismology, earthquake monitoring, communications, and stuff like that. Okay. So ultra low frequency energy. This wave of energy would cause a chain reaction within all of the planetary Merkaba fields, through which pole reversal and vaporization of surface life would result. This wave of expanding Dimension 1 energy is called a red pulse, and then in parentheses it said red detonating its Dimension 1 frequency. And it constitutes a wave of solar flame within Dimension 1 frequency bands. Life forms on planets in the first harmonic universe cannot survive such an infusion of ultra-low frequency Dimension 1 energy because it would implode the molecular structure before the genetic code could expand enough to process those frequencies. In order to avert the pending termination of Earth life, the Gardian races, under the direction of the Syrian Council, altered several layers of the morphogenetic field of Earth and the local planets. As the red wave of flame would be coming in on the electrical overtone Dimension 1 frequency bands, all of the Dimension 1 overtones were temporarily removed from the planetary morphogenetic fields. This served to create a Dimension 1 seal around Earth's core, so the ultra-low frequency of the red pulse could not enter Earth's grid, or the grids of the neighboring planets. Next, a frequency seal was placed within the Dimension 4 frequency bands in order to block Dimension 4 frequencies from entering into Earth's morphogenetic field. Once the overtones of Dimension 1 were removed, Earth's core could not synthesize incoming Dimension 4 frequency, and the core would explode. So Dimension 4 frequencies had to be temporarily blocked from Earth. To create the Dimension 4 seal, the first 11 out of 12 base tones and overtones of Dimension 4 were removed from Earth's morphogenetic field, which meant that Earth's lower 3 Merkaba fields connected with the Dimension 4 Merkaba field only at the level of the 12th base tone and 12th overtone. These morphogenetic manipulations created another frequency fence, which served as a protective barrier around Earth and the neighboring planets. In energetic terms, the 11-11-12-12 frequency fence took the form of a spherical band of energy surrounding Earth within the Dimension 1 and Dimension 4 frequency bands, a protective bubble of multidimensional energy. Following the implementation of the Guardian's frequency fence, humanity was under 3 layers of frequency modulation. The original frequency fence quarantined from 9540 BC, the Zeta Seal frequency fence from 1748 AD, and the 11-11-12-12 frequency fence of 1972. All 3 of these frequency fences would need to be lifted in order for the blue flame of Amente to be embodied on Earth between 2012 and 2017. As frequencies are morphogenetic manipulations, they also manifest within the DNA imprint of the races. The DNA of 8% of the human populations would have to be realigned and purged of the 3 frequency fence seals and the remaining mutations from the earlier Amente, Peladorian, Templar, and Templar Axion seals by January 1st, 2012. Guardian races began conducting mass-level consensual soul agreement abductions of humans since 1972 in order to help humans begin repairing those genetic mutations and also to begin educating on preparation for 2012. Memory repression tactics were used to spare humanity the terror of facing events that was not yet prepared to understand. The Zetas had been conducting frequent forced abductions since the late 1940s as part of their hybridization program. They also used memory repression tactics. Guardians did not practice in these forced abductions, nor did they participate in intrusive experimentation. When the 11-11-12-12 frequency fence was established in 1972, the Guardians knew it was a temporary measure to buy the time they needed to rebalance the Merkaba fields of Earth and the Sun. Balancing the Merkaba field was the most important project in the Guardians' agenda. Since 9558 BC, when the islands of Atlantis sank and the Earth tilted on her axis, the Guardians knew they would have to assist in realigning the Merkaba fields of Earth before the 2012-2017 ascension cycle. Following the events of 1943 through 1972, this rebalancing effort would be much more difficult to achieve. Originally, the Guardians planned to slowly accelerate the vibration rate of Earth's grid through occasional infusions of D4 energy that would slowly bring the grid into alignment and correct the pole tilt over the course of about 2,000 years. These occasional energy transmissions began in 196 BC, when the Earth entered its present 4,426-year cycle. In their original plan, the Guardians intended to raise Earth's grid vibration into the UHF bands of the third dimension, or of the third dimension beginnings in the 1950s. So the first seal of the Ark of the Covenant could be released no later than October 6th of 1968. Following the release of the first seal of the Ark, the sphere of Amente would begin its 12 through 14 months descent into the Earth's core. The sphere of Amente had to be in place no later than January 1st, 1988, so the sphere would be able to fulfill the 12-year phase of its activation cycle no later than 2000 AD. Once the sphere was fully activated to the third dimensional level in Earth's Dimension 2 core, it would cause Earth's grid to send a spark of Dimension 5 frequency into the Ark of the Covenant, releasing the second seal on the Ark. This would begin the 12-year descent of the blue flame of Amente and the Earth, and the shift of the Earth from the Dimension 3 to Dimension 4 time cycle. The second seal on the Ark of the Covenant had to spark open no later than June 1998. So the shift into the Dimension 4 time cycle would begin on January 1st, 2000. And in order for the Earth's grid to be prepared for the proper fusion with Terra's grid between 2012 and 2017. The Dimension 5 frequencies of the blue flame had to be embodied within the populations of Earth no later than May 5th, 2012, or else Earth's changes would result when the grids began to merge. When the Zeta's frequency fence and genetic mutation from the future began affecting Earth in 1748, creating blockages of the Dimension 4 frequencies in Earth's morphogenetic field and fourth DNA strand mutations in the races, the Guardians began constructing an artificial Dimension 4 grid imprint within the Earth's morphogenetic field. They re-entered the Dimension 4 frequency pattern into the gold core crystal Dimension 4 Merkaba field at the center of the Sun, which began to restore the Dimension 4 imprint of the Earth's morphogenetic field and within the sphere of Amente. This allowed the Guardians to continue infusing Earth with Dimension 4 frequency to slowly reverse Earth's unnatural tilt on its axis. This artificial Dimension 4 imprint also began the deterioration of the Zeta's frequency fence and a reverse mutation of the fourth DNA strand. The new Dimension 4 imprint manifested as a band of UHF energy surrounding the outer portions of the Earth's atmosphere, about 444,000 miles out in space, just beyond the 12th overtone of the third dimension. It allowed human consciousness to continue to expand into Dimension 4 perception and allowed the Earth's infusion of Dimension 4 accelerations to continue. This artificial Dimension 4 grid, which the Guardians began constructing in 1748, has frequently been referred to as in the New Age terminology as artificial Christ consciousness grid. This term was chosen because the upper frequency bands of Dimension 4 represent the beginning levels of the Tura-Nucium 12-strand DNA consciousness, which was exemplified on Earth by Yeshua 12 in 12 BC through 27 AD. When the problem arose with the Zetas' manipulation of the sun between 1943 and 1972, the artificial D4 grid became blocked by the 11-11-12-12 frequency fence. In 1972, the Guardians had to accelerate their whole energy infusion program in order to reverse the damage the Zetas had caused, which meant that humanity would be put on course for a very rapid evolution between 1972 and 2012. For the artificial Dimension 4 grid to become operational again, the 11-11-12-12 frequency fence had to be removed, which meant that the Dimension 4 and Dimension 1 Merkaba fields of the sun had to be returned to their original polarity. This would correct the Dimension 1 Merkaba field of Earth and the Dimension 4 Merkaba field of Terra Earth so the grids could fuse in 2012, if the Earth grid vibration was raised high enough in time to hold the sphere of Amente. The Earth's grid had to reach the speed of the UHF bands and Dimension 3 for the first seal of the Ark of the Covenant to spark the release of to spark and release the sphere of Amente by October 1986. It would be difficult, if not impossible, for the Guardians to raise Earth's grid speed that high without the infusions of D4 energy that were now blocked by the 11-11-12-12 frequency fence. So correction of the sun's Merkaba fields became a race for time with the Guardian legions. Even though the frequency fence did not lift until 1992, the Guardians were successful in raising the grid speed enough for the Ark of the Covenant to open by October 1986 deadline. The accelerated energy infusions used to rebalance the Merkaba fields of the sun began in 1973 and were projected into the solar fields via beam ships stationed in the future Dimension 4 time cycle. These infusions would cause rapid shifts of the energy fields on Earth, which would have created havoc within the consciousness of human populations and instability of Earth's natural EMF fields. However, the 11-11-12-12 frequency fence allowed the Guardians to employ holographic insert technology on Earth, through which the illusion of grid stability could be created, so the Guardian rebalancing efforts would remain undetected, and excessive instability within the human populations could be avoided. Earth existed under these Guardian-created holographic inserts from 1973 through January 11th, 1992, when the 11-11-12-12 frequency fence began lifting. The Montauk Project is the next section. And it says Zetas and Rigelians, the Montauk Project 1983 and 2976 AD. Between 1973 and 1980, Earth remained under the Guardian holographic inserts and the illusion of electromagnetic stability they created while the Guardians worked to complete realignment of the sun's Merkaba fields. By 1982, the Zetas became tremendously frustrated as they observed the continuing breakdown of their collective mind complex in the Dimension 4 time cycle and began to realize that the Guardians would correct this misalignment of the sun in time for the ascension period to proceed as scheduled between 1982 and 1984. Oh, excuse me. That was wrong. That was it says to correct this misalignment of the sun in time for the ascension period and proceed as scheduled, period. And then it says, between 1982 and 1984, most members of the Zeta Legion entered into treaties with Guardian races and agreed to stop their plan of Earth infiltration. Because the ascension time was 2012 and then through 2017, and I think 5 years after 2017. These agreements also included the Zetas from Dimension 4 time cycle who had fallen under dominion of the Dracos in that future time period. The Guardians agreed to relocate the Zeta races and their hybrids to another planetary system in Dimension 4 where they could evolve peacefully as long as the Zetas agreed to follow the dictates of the Syrian Council and the Galactic Federation and to operate upon principles of the Law of One, from that time forward. The Zetas were also required to fully dismantle their collective mind complex in Dimension 4 to release the Zeta Seal frequency fence and to assist the Guardians in preparing Earth and humanity for 2012. Though most of the Zetas agreed to begin working with the Guardians in 1983, several Zeta and most Draco groups refused to release their desire for possession of Earth. These groups became known as the Draco Zeta Resistance, which included rebellious Zeta races, Dracos, and their hybrids. The primary Zeta groups that refuse Guardian treaties are the Zeta Greys from the solar system that orbits the star Regal in the Orion star system. These are frequently called Regalians. We know them as the Fuchi, pronounced Fushi. Sorry, I thought it was Fuchi, but it's Fushi. It is a Zeta group that formed treaties with the interior government on Earth and orchestrated the Zeta Seal and manipulations of the Sun. They are the most aggressive and militant of the Zeta Grey races and are extremely dangerous to humans because they often attempt to present themselves as guardians in order to seduce humans into being their earthly operatives. The Regalians, Fushi, dominated the other Zeta races in the Dimension 4 time cycle until the majority of these non-Regalian Zetas rebelled and sought Guardian protection when this option was offered between 1982 through 1984. Following the Guardian treaties of 1982 and 1984, the Zeta Draco hybrids known as the Rutilia, who had been the primary go-betweens in Zeta-Fushi-human relations, served as infiltrates within the interior government and continued to secretly motivate humans to continue helping them fulfill their old agenda. See, I told you the government is they're controlled and manipulated by extraterrestrials. Note, the Rutilia are those being referred to by the government as EBs or EBEs, extraterrestrial biological entities. They closely resemble the Greys, but usually have a lighter gray to gray-white complexion and more pronounced ridging at the rear of the skull. The Draco Zeta Resistance had to find a way to reconstruct the Zeta Seal frequency fence and Zeta Collective Mind Complex before 2012 in order to regain control of the human populations in Dimension 4. The Draco Zeta Resistance set their new plan in motion in 1983 when they covertly motivated humans to create another experiment similar to the Philadelphia experiment of 1943. They desired to create another rip in the space-time through which a large number of their ships could be secretly sent from the future to Earth into 3 different time-space coordinates. From these positions in time, the ships could enter the Dimension 2 frequency bands of Earth and begin transmitting electromagnetic pulses through the Earth's grid, which would serve to reconstruct their frequency fence and cause mutation of the 4th DNA strand. Yeah, this sounds pretty crazy. It's just this constant war that's fought over different time periods with time travelers and interdimensional beings. And most people just have no freaking clue. But this is like what all the religions and shit are talking about. When it talks about these angels and demons and alien abductions where people think they met God or something. It's like, well, this is what it is. They're just meeting these beings with this really crazy advanced technology, and because the primitive humans that witnessed it didn't understand the science and the physics behind the technology and didn't understand that we live in a multidimensional universe with all these different harmonic universes and frequencies and Merkaba fields, and you have ships that can just calibrate themselves into different frequencies and reappear and appear when they want. And they're just fucking with the humans, and the humans don't understand the science and the physics, so they think they're gods because it's magic or superpowers, when it's really just highly advanced technology and understanding of sound and frequency technology. Even if the grid of Earth and Terra were able to merge between 2012 and 2017, the human gene code would not have time to fully assemble the 5th DNA strand in the majority of the populations. This would stop the scheduled ascension through the halls of Amente and keep the Zeta Seal operational within the sphere of Amente, so their human captives in Dimension 4 would once again be subject to the Zeta Draco's control. For their new plan to work, the Zetas had to begin broadcasting their electromagnetic pulse frequency fence as close to 2012 as possible, while still allowing enough time for the fence to take effect within the human gene code. It would take a minimum of 6 years for the frequency fence to cause the fourth DNA strand mutation in the majority of the human populations, so the Draco Zeta resistance would have to begin broadcasting their electromagnetic pulses no later than 2006. If they began to broadcast too soon, the Guardian's infusions of Dimension 4 frequency would counteract their electromagnetic transmissions, and the genetic mutation would not hold within the DNA. The Zeta's resistance, or the Draco Zeta resistance, decided upon the year 2004 as their target date. In order to fulfill their plan to covert mass infiltration, they would have to enter their fleets into Earth's Dimension 2 frequency bands during the peak of the Earth's Dimension 1 and Dimension 4 Merkaba field cycle, which takes place every 20 years on August 12th. Dimensional Merkaba fields go through cycles of movement in which the two spiraling energies, or energy fields, vertically condense and draw towards each other, then progressively expand into vertical axis, drawing away from each other. When the Merkaba fields draw away from each other, the upright electrical spiral moves into the magnetic Merkaba field of the dimension above, which causes a temporary blending of the frequencies between the magnetic spiral of one dimension and that of the dimension above. These points of interdimensional magnetic spiral blending are called dimensional magnetic peaks. During magnetic peaks, natural interdimensional portal windows briefly open, allowing unencumbered transit between dimensional bands. Magnetic peaks also occur between the Merkaba spirals of harmonic universes, through which the Merkaba fields of a dimension in one harmonic universe blend with the Merkaba fields of the corresponding dimension one harmonic universe up. These blending periods are called harmonic magnetic peaks. Each harmonic universe has 3 dimensions, each of the 3 dimensions representing a bass tone, overtone, or resonant tone within the 15-dimensional scale. D1, 4, 7, 10, and 13 are bass tone dimensions. 2, 5, 8, 11, and 13 are overtone dimensions. 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15 are resonant tone dimensions. Harmonic magnetic peaks occur when bass tone, overtone, and resonant tone Merkaba fields alignment takes place. The D1 bass tone Merkaba field of Earth and the D4 bass tone Merkaba field of Terra reach their magnetic peak cycle once every 20 years between August 12th to 15th, at which time a dimensional window opens between Earth's harmonic universe 1 and Terra's harmonic universe 2, and the time continuum cycles. The first harmonic magnetic peak of the 20th century occurred on August 12, 1903, and the last on August 12, 1983. These periods mark a time of peak magnetic pull within Earth's subtle energy bodies and heightened dimensional blending, through which large numbers of Draco Zeta ships could be cloaked and brought to Earth from Dimension 4. August 12th, 2003 is the closest peak, it's the closest peak date to the Draco Zeta resistance target of 2004. The plan called for a simultaneous entry of beam ships during 3 time periods, and once the Zetas had successfully orchestrated infiltration, they would broadcast their frequency fence through Earth's grid and begin the genetic mutation. If they attempted this mutation from only one time period, there would not be enough time for it to take hold within the majority of the populations. By entering the electromagnetic transmissions at the 3 different but closely related time periods of 1943, 1983, and 2003, a great number of people would be affected. For the Draco Zeta's resistance plan to be effective, they would have to create 3 rips in space-time on Earth through which their ships could be entered. One such rip already exists from the Philadelphia experiment of 1943, and one would have to be created in 2003. The Resistance scheduled the third rip in spacetime for the next harmonic magnetic peak cycle of August 12, 1983, the only opportunity they would have before 2003. Working with the interior government, the Draco Zeta Resistance orchestrated another experiment, which came to be known as the Montauk Project. Again, accounts of this experiment are available in other publications, so we will not detail here. The Montauk Project served to widen the rip in 1983 spacetime that had begun as a result of the Philadelphia experiment. By August 14th, 1983, the time periods of 1943 and 1983 were successfully linked to the Draco Zeta Resistance Dimension 4 time period, which they used as a base of operations. From 1983 to the present, the Draco Zeta Resistance resumed their hybridization programs through abducting humans, creating several strains of hybrids and human clones. They also created infiltrates via genetic engineering, through which they could interface with Earth's cultures under the guise of human form. There is a whole section in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean that also talks about exactly this right here. I have that video uploaded also on my channels. Infiltrates are children conceived of natural human conception whose mothers are abducted during pregnancy, so Zeta Draco's genetic materials could be infused into the fetus. These children are born, usually with 7 months of gestation, and raised by their human parents and appear to be fully human. They are consciously aware of their extraterrestrial affiliation, but can be subliminally directed by the Draco Zeta Resistance via the DNA and neurological structure. When Guardian groups locate such infiltrate individuals, they orchestrate abductions and dismantle the Zeta Draco's gene codes, thereby freeing these mostly human subjects from their covert controllers. That's pretty interesting. 2967 AD and the Draco Zeta Resistance. The Guardians became aware of the Draco Zeta Resistance problem in 1984 and were able to trace probable events in the future that would result from this present activity. What they discovered was alarming, as the consequences of this infiltration were far more reaching than they had speculated. They discovered a future event that would occur in the year 2976 AD. That was the result of the Zeta's interference after the year 2000. In this probable future, the Guardians had been successful in realigning the Merkaba fields of Earth and the Sun, but in 2003 AD, the Draco's Zeta Resistance is also successful with their infiltration plan. The Guardians saw that the Zeta's new frequency fence partially misaligns Earth's grid in 2012, and when the Earth and Terra begin to intersect, major Earth changes result. Though Earth still fuses with Terra and releases a morphogenetic wave as intended, just as the wave begins to crest, this is in 2012, the Earth changes begin. When the morphogenetic wave begins to crest, the halls of Amente portals open, but the Earth grid must be stable in order for the halls to remain open through the 10-year cycle, which is 2012 through 2022. The Earth changes caused a premature closing of the halls of Amente, which creates a rapid drop in Earth's grid speed. The sphere of Amente cannot be left in Earth's core during this drop in vibration, or the Earth grid will explode. Okay, well, it's 2025 when I'm reading this, and nothing exploded, so are we in this transition now? Or, this transition supposedly already happened, so now we're still changing, or in the process of changing the harmonic universe transition or something. I don't know. Let's keep reading and see what the rest of the book says. In this future probability, Guardians remove the sphere of Amente from the Earth, and human populations come under direct covert control of the Draco Zeta Resistance. the Zeta seal, genetic mutation is returned to the human race. Once Earth is under Draco's Zeta rule, the Zetas are attacked and dominated by Draco's groups with whom they had been working. The Dracos take command of Earth in both Dimension 3 and Dimension 4 time cycles and begin to use the Dimension 3 Earth as a storehouse for unwanted photonuclear waste materials from the Dimension 4 Terra Earth time cycle. Photonuclear waste is produced through certain processes involving the manufacture of photonic energy through manipulation of multidimensional nuclear materials. This process causes a massive nuclear explosion on Dimension 3 Earth in 2976 AD, through which the Earth is destroyed. All souls involved in the cataclysm fragment and are lost within Harmonic Universe 1. Their connection to the Sphere of Amente race morphogenetic field and their personal soul materials their soul matrices are severed. If this future event occurred in the present Earth's line of development, not only would the Earth and the major part of the human race be lost, but the evolution of Terra in Harmonic Universe 2 would be set back by eons, as Terra would remain trapped in her Harmonic Universe 2 time cycles until Earth's imprint could be reconstructed and re-evolve in Harmonic Universe 1. Upon discovering these probable future events, Gardian groups made an appeal to the Resistance Zetas, telling them of the Draco's betrayal and offering to assist them in relocation if they would give up their infiltration plan. The Zetas refused to alter their plans. Though the Guardians could easily subdue the Draco Zetas' legions in a forced confrontation, such a confrontation would cause major damage to the Earth's Merkaba fields and would ensure the destruction of the human populations. The Guardians had to find a better way to avert the new Draco Zeta's agenda. Not only did the Guardians bear the responsibility for preparing Earth and humanity for 2012, they now had the additional burden of protecting their preparation plan from Draco Zeta resistance sabotage. In December of 1984, the Syrian Council Pleiadian Star League, Syrian Arcturian Coalition for Interplanetary Defense, and Andromeda Federation of Planets, the Palladorians of Harmonic Universe 2, and several other Guardian groups from Harmonic Universe 1, 2, and 3 co-created the Bridge Zone Project in order to protect Earth and the human populations from Draco Zeta resistance infiltration and the destruction of Earth in 2976 AD that would result from this interference. The Draco Zeta resistance is presently quite aware of the Guardians' Bridge Zone plan, but they are confident that humanity will be unable to rise to the occasion and feel sure their infiltration plan will be successful. The Guardians believe humanity can indeed pull together and make the Bridge Zone project a success. For this reason, we of the Guardian Alliance bring to you this hidden knowledge so that you may be prepared to make a stand on behalf of your own evolution and freedom. Okay, that was the end of Chapter 7. We'll continue Chapter 8 in another upload.